So AI was supposed to be the shortcut that allowed you to compete with anybody else who is constantly creating content. So why isn't it working for you? This episode kicks off a whole series on AI and copy and strategy and why business owners are hitting a wall and not getting the results they expect when they are following some of the advice that they've been told about AI. So let's dive in. AI really became popularized in the past few years. And when I'm talking about AI in this specific series, we're talking about language models. So language models work because they basically crawl pages and they gather all of that information. And then they use all of the language that they have in their database to answer your questions. When I first started, everybody was asking me if I was worried about launching my copywriting business at the same time that these AI models are coming out. And what I quickly realized is that any of these language models really can't do what I do, because while they're able to take like specific pieces of copywriting from different people, there's no like big strategy holding it together. And so it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because on one hand, copywriters can do their work a lot faster. Like I do not have to stare at a blank screen and start thinking about what to say and really go from there. Like I can just be like, hey, here's what I'm thinking into ChatGPT. And it really saves me a lot of time. Even if I have to rewrite every single thing that comes out of my ChatGPT, I'm not staring at a blank screen. So it does save me time. And so with that, yes, like copywriters have lost jobs. Lots of copywriters have lost jobs because what companies are doing is having less people do the work of more people using AI. All of this being said, you can use AI to write copy, but you have to have some copywriting knowledge in order to make it work. So I've been thinking about doing this series for a while, but what really cemented it was actually this week in office hours, I had a conversation with two of my clients around AI and how I was taught this strategy of like, hey, put your transcripts into ChatGPT, put them into a blog post, and then post them on your website, and then golden SEO, right? You're going to get tons of visibility from your blog post that is based on your podcast episode, right? And so I did this for about a year, and I have been realizing that that does not work, right? And I've also been learning more SEO behind the scenes, and I'm like, okay, this makes no sense because it's not actually based in SEO strategy, right? And so we had this conversation about how I was doing this with no results, and these two clients also heard the same advice and were not getting the same results. And so I actually decided to stop doing that and not put my podcast show notes / blog on my website. I'm going to take a different approach, which maybe I'll tell you about on a different time. This is what I'm seeing, right? I'm seeing a lot of people using AI content, wondering why it's not converting. And there's a few reasons why this happens, right? One is AI cannot give you a point of view. So unless you are specifically like, hey, this is my point of view, these are my experiences, this is my approach, it's going to give you the same trash it's giving everybody else. And if you're not giving it that clear message of what you want it to say, it's not going to give you a quality response. It's going to give you the same thing that it pulled from the internet, like a same version of something that it's giving to somebody else who put the same prompt in, right? And I think one of the things too is with that whole like podcast SEO strategy, right? ChatGPT can give you keywords. Are those keywords correct? Probably not. Like, are those keywords going to help you rank? Probably not, because ChatGPT doesn't actually have like ranking software. Like you need an actual tool that helps you do SEO research if you want to do SEO research. So if ChatGPT is giving you a keyword, it's probably giving other people that same keyword. So unless you are then running it through like a keyword checker, I wouldn't use that, because you're probably putting the same keyword as somebody else. And then now you're like weirdly competing with the 7 other people who put that keyword into ChatGPT. And it's probably more than 7 people, depending on what you do. So what really is going to make the difference? And this is something that I'll cover over the next few weeks, but it's really going to be your approach, right? Your lens, how you do things, your experiences. Like ChatGPT doesn't understand your brain. It doesn't know all of the knowledge and expertise you have inside of your brain. And that's really where it falls flat, because Honestly, like if you ask ChatGPT to write something for you and then you go back and you add in your expertise and you're like, hey, actually, like this is how I know that this is true and this is what I've experienced, and you put that in, that will give you a much better version of whatever ChatGPT spit out at you than just taking that first draft that they took. So really incorporating your method, your approach, your story, that's really what's going to build trust and drive sales. And that's really the missing piece. I actually see this really often, especially with my copy classroom clients where, people are like, here's how I can help, but they're not actually talking about their experience. As a former teacher, I'm like, well, what transferable skills do I have? Like I've got nothing. I can teach, right? That's a whole side conversation of, yes, teachers have so many transferable skills, but so do you, even if you weren't a teacher. And like, if you were in corporate for 15 years, you have some experience that you can draw upon and talk about how it informs your work today. So that's just something to consider. But I also want to say, before we get into all of the strategies and all of that, AI has become super political because every software company is adding AI. All of the prices are going up. As a small business owner, my software costs have gone up so much. Companies are laying off workers because AI can do it. I've actually seen in the news that companies are regretting laying off so many workers because AI can't do the job as well as their human counterparts, obviously. So I actually do think this replace everybody with AI is going to backfire. And I think part of it is because a lot of these people making the decisions about adding AI, they don't actually understand the work. They don't actually understand what people on the ground are doing. Like, what are these podcast editors doing? And what are these copywriters doing? And what are these designers doing, right? And these videographers, they don't understand the technique and the technicality of it and the finesse behind it. And so I think that's really where you're gonna see companies that have that human first approach really do much better than companies who went all in with AI. These companies are investing in AI and they're like, crap, we have to pay for this now. We built all of these data centers to house our AI, and now what? So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, especially with the theory of in 5 to 10 years, AI is going to have no human generated content to pull from because there's so much AI generated content. But all of that being said, right? AI is a tool. Yes, there's environmental concerns. There are also political concerns when it comes to cost and employment, right? Unemployment is at an all-time high since COVID right now. This is mid-September recording this. So it really does tie into what's going on in your life as a business owner. So I also understand if people are anti-AI. For me, I'm pick my battles. I got off social media, but also AI saves me a lot of time in my business. But all of this being said, it is a tool. It is not a strategist. It does not have a human brain. All it is doing is picking up other things people have said and regurgitating it to you. So it can create a first draft, but you have to understand what its limitations are and how to fix what it gives you. It's funny because copywriting is a much, much more technical skill than people realize. And there's so many little things in it. Maybe I'll do a whole nother series on the technicalities of copywriting. It's funny to see people who don't understand copywriting using AI all of the time because I see the things that they've picked up from AI. Like one of the strategies that I've learned is whether it's blank or blank, I will always have whatever big promise your business does, right? And ChatGPT regurgitates that all the time, right? Whether it's blah, 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 skip the overwhelm. So all of this being said, don't forget your brain. Your brain is an important piece. Your experience is an important piece. And so use ChatGPT as a tool. Don't use it as a replacement. Take the evidence from me who tried to use it as a replacement for my blog and it went south. Took me a year to realize that it wasn't working. And it's just a waste of time, right? Everything that is working really well in my business is because there's the human touch. It's a lot of my teaching. It's a lot of my conversations with people. Those are what's working. And so, yes, use it as a tool, but don't completely depend on AI for marketing your business. And going back to like the unemployment thing, it's so wild. Like when you look at AI in other industries as well, like for me, I really look at it through marketing and automations and all of that stuff. But even with people who are looking for jobs, like my sister has been looking for jobs this year and she's getting interviewed by actual robots. And I've actually had like a collaboration thing in my email be like, hey, we want to interview you. And then it's like a robot and you're supposed to like record your answer. And I was like, I feel super weird about this. Like I cannot do it. And so everything is becoming like faceless and automated. And I think with this timeline, like what people want more than ever is human to human connection. The more humanness you can insert into your copy, the more humanness you can insert into your business, the better it's going to do. So this is a series on AI and how you can use it as a tool, but not a replacement. I'm going to dig into some things like what to actually plug in and why sounds like you is trash advice and what you should do instead. And then how I use AI for my corporate clients, for my clients in day-to-day as a tool. So next week, we're tackling the myth that more content is gonna mean better results. I have always been a proponent of less is more when it's done right. And I think there's this mindset that more is better, right? More. And so how do we flip that so that it's quality over quantity? So thank you so much for listening and tune in next week for more AI talk. Until next time. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate and leave a review on your preferred listening platform. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe for weekly episodes about how to make money and work with the dreamiest of clients without having to get dressed in the morning. Make sure to check out the show notes down below, and I'll see you in the next episode.